Welcome back to StarrSoap's channel. How are you today? I'm doing good. If you didn't know who I am, my name is MissCrystalStarr and I'm the Queen Soaper here at StarrSoaps. Welcome to my channel and my soap journey. Today I'm going to be making a first in a series. That's right, I'm going to be getting ready for Christmas, and us soap makers usually have to do this a little bit in advance because soap can take 4 to 6 weeks before it cures and we can use it. So I'm going to get started by doing a soap project that was inspired by the little group over on Facebook called Kiwi Soap Makers. Hi guys! So they run a challenge every single month with different soapy projects, and this month's one was confetti soap. So I decided to go ahead and make some soaps, grate them up, and have a go at making a Christmas confetti soap. So come along with me and I'll show you how to make it. Squee! Okay, so first things first, we're going to start by making the coloured soap that we're going to grate for the confetti Christmas soap. So I'm going to add my cooled lye water to my cooled oils like I have done many times before, and then stick blender and bring it to a light trace. And you'll know it's at a light trace when it goes from looking clear to opaque. So when the oils are clear and then you add the lye water, it still looks clear, and then you stick blender until it looks creamy or opaque. So now I'm adding my fragrance and essential oil blend. I'm using a bunch of different scents that to me smells like pine trees, which smells like Christmas. So last year when I went ahead to make my Christmas soaps, I purchased a fragrance called mistletoe and I used it for my Christmas soaps. But what I noticed is that to me personally, the mistletoe fragrance smelled very much like, you guessed it, pine trees. So this year I decided to make my own special custom Christmas blend. There's a fragrance called Bushwalk, there's an essential oil called cedarwood essential oil, and another fragrance that I just added a teeny tiny touch of that's called Wild Musk. And together they smell to me earthy and green and beautiful. So I'm going to portion the soap out now into 2 jugs with 2 different colours. I don't have a very good red at the moment, so I'm going to be using a blend for the red, but I do have a beautiful green, and this is the last of my beautiful green I've used up for this soap project. This is such a gorgeous shade of green. It's kind of emerald green. It's sparkly, very sparkly. So I don't know if you know this, but some micas can be very glittery and sparkly and others not so much. So I'm adding in the mica into the supposedly red jug now, which turns out a lot more pink, as you can see. I'm using a mica that is called red mica, but every time I've used it, it's come out pink, so I know that's the case. And I'm also adding the special soap colorant that you disperse into water, and it is more of like a blood red color. So my final soap ends up with quite a pink tone. And I think in the future I would probably add a little bit of my brick red oxide. My brick red, when I mix it up, almost looks brown. It's very, very dark. But a tiny touch of that might have been just exactly what I needed here. I did add a little bit of black mica into this blend, believe it or not. You can't really tell by looking at it now. It's so bright and so pink. But I didn't really end up with the red that I was going for. I think I might need to go and repurchase my Bordeaux mica. I really missed that one, and I used it all up. So now that I've got the soap mixed up, the scent is mixed in, and the colour has been thoroughly dispersed, I'm going to go ahead and pour it into this individual cavity mould. And this mould makes lovely rectangle bars, so it's perfect for making soap in. But for this, I'm not going to be keeping them as rectangles. So as I'm doing this, my plan was going to be to make soapy dough and then use that soapy dough and mould some different toppers. But Kiwi Soap Makers group over on Facebook is running a competition for the month of September where you had to do a confetti soap. So I decided that with this soap I would grate it up and use it like a confetti soap instead. So what I'm doing now is I'm loosening the soap up out of the mold. This is 24 hours later. It was a jump cut. And this little bit of soap, I'm just showing you how easy it is to just mold it and make soap dough. So anybody that has you thinking that you need some really complex recipe, it's not the case. You just need to make sure you're wearing gloves, because this soap might still be able to burn you a little bit or irritate your skin. So make sure you're wearing gloves. Take your soap out of the mold and squish it and play with it. You'll get this wonderful dough consistency. Go ahead and make your toppers right away. This type of soap dough will not keep because it does not have any other additives in it. It's just soap. So you need to make your little balls or your little flowers or whatever right now while it's squishy. Then leave it to set and you will have rock hard, beautiful, intricate, personalised toppers for your soap. And I think it's the best way to do it. So it does actually require a bit of pre-thought and pre-planning, but that's cool. So we've got those green soaps out and they look really good. I've wiped my hands to get all of the green off my gloves, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the same with the red. So now these little bits of soap dough are ready. I have a bit more red than I do green. I was going to make little holly berries and little leaves out of these, but my fondant cutter didn't arrive in time and I didn't want to sit there cutting out the little leaf shapes by hand. So in the end I changed my mind and I decided to just grate the whole lot up for confetti soap. Now I've never made a confetti soap before. I'm just showing you here that the top of the soap is moist. That's because one of the colorants that went into that blend was mixed with water. And later on with that red soap, it definitely ashed a lot more than the green soap. And I think that's a really interesting point. In the future, if you can, if I know I'm going to, if I can, I'll just use mica that I blend into oil, and I probably will leave that other colorant for bath bombs. It's like a lake dye is what that other colorant is like. Not my oxide, mind you. I don't think I would use my oxide in a bath bomb. So that's something that I really recommend you do your research on. Make sure you know what your colorants are for and use them wisely and use them for their correct purpose. So now I'm mixing up some more soap, and this soap is going to be scented with the same scent blend as we did the colours, and it's only going to be white because this is going to be the glue that holds all of our soap confetti together for our groovy final Christmas confetti soap design. to start off here, I'm just pouring a little bit of my white soap into the very bottom of my molds. And my plan was to add my little sprinkly shavings here, as you can see, and they are really pretty. I love how they came out. A little tiny bit at a time, then cover them with a bit more soap, then add a little bit more and carry on in that way. But I found that this was very time consuming and rather tedious, and I got kind of frustrated and I went ahead and changed up my plan. But I wish I hadn't. I know that it's hard to be patient, but I wish I had been patient with this, because the final soap showed me that that very bottom layer that you see me making right now, it really did turn out the best. So in the future, I would make sure I do it this way. I would not be so fussed about using up all of my soap shavings. With this, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to use them all. I have to use them all. In the future, I wouldn't be so bothered with that. I'll be like, hey, if there's some left over, so be it. So that's a little tip for you as well. You don't, even though you set yourself a plan, you don't have to follow it religiously. You're allowed to change things up at the last minute. And I really wish that I had just kind of stuck with this original design along the bottom instead of changing my mind. So there you go, 2020 hindsight. done now is I've taken all of my shavings and all of my wet soap and I've mixed them together, and it's made this almost like doughy consistency here. Like I could probably take this out with my hands and mold it into a shape right now. So that's kind of interesting as well. That final soap, if I did mold it into a shape, would have a texture, you know what I mean, because it's all the little shavings. But I still think that would have been fun. Instead, what I do is I go ahead and plop it all into the mold, and I try to mix it in with the wet soap. My goal here was to use all my shavings, which, like I say, I don't think I would try and do that in the future. I had a lot of soap shavings here, but my other goal was to try to separate the green and the red. I didn't want them all mixed together. And also, like I just said before, when I look at that final design, they looked okay mixed together on the bottom. I should have left it that way, so there you go. But anyway, I get all the green in, I give it a bit of a mix and a bit of a bang down to try to make sure there's no air pockets, and then I come back through with the red and load all of that in as well. And it really does look quite funky at this stage. I'm actually kind of happy with it, but it's not sort of flowy enough, if that makes sense to you. It's all glooped and blopped in there like we have to do if our soap seizes on us. And it's just not the lovely, delicate design that I've sort of come to know and to love with my soap projects. You know, when I get a beautiful hanger swirl or something like that. So I come back with the wet soap here, and I quickly realise that I do not have enough wet soap to cover everything up completely, and I feel it's pretty important to have it all covered up. So I do my best to share out what's left in the jug over the two moulds and sort of poke it in and mix it around as much as I can. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to make more soap. I'm just going to mix up another jug full of soap so that I can top them up. And here is that jug of soap, and I'm just giving it a mix here to mix the fragrance and essential oil through. I've used the same amount of titanium dioxide, the same amount of fragrance, and it's all going to just go along the very top of those soap loaves to cover them up. Now, like I say, I wish that I had sort of left back some of the shavings and been a little bit more patient with this whole soap, because what ends up happening is that section of soap that I'm pouring in right now, it takes a little bit longer to saponify, and the section underneath has the soap gratings, which of course had already saponified and then were grated up, so they're firm already, and my final soap, when I try to cut it, gives me a little bit of trouble, guys. So that is kind of annoying, and it leads to why I end up doing a whole nother thing. I don't want to give it away, stay tuned. So right now I'm coming back with the same colour of micas, first that pinky red and then now the green, and I'm using a pipette to drop little tiny dollops, little tiny dots all over the soap. Now the dots look really funky on their own, you could just leave it like this, but I've done this so that I can come back through with my skewer and give it all a really glorious swirly top. I love doing this. It reminds me of those Ebrew painting videos that you can see on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and it's like, I feel like Picasso, I feel like a real artist when I get to come through and do this. The final design that I'm going for is something reminiscent to like a peppermint swirl, or something that you might see on the top of peppermint slice at the bakery. Do you know what I mean? So I love how this looks, and it will finally get flourished with a topping of eco glitter as well. And I just use a plain white iridescent eco glitter. I don't go for any colours when it comes to glitter, because that way I can just use it on any soap project that I feel like I want to add glitter to. So I'll go through and I'll swirl these, and then I'll glitter them up, and then I'll show you what they look like once they're all cut up. Okay, so here are the final soaps, and as you saw, it was so hard to push the cutter through, and some of the end bars just broke in half, and it was actually kind of sad. I ended up getting Big B to come through. That's why those hands look different, because I didn't have the strength to push down on it, and he was like struggling and he couldn't push it down as well. It was like, ah, oh my gosh. So our final soap looks a bit janky. I ended up putting this little video into the group StarrSoapy Family over on Facebook and asking for advice on what would you do. My idea was that I wanted to drizzle soap over the top and try to fix them. Most people thought when they looked at these soap bars that the soap must have riced, and that's the question I kept getting was, oh my gosh, did your soap rice? And I'm like, no, it's confetti soap, it just failed. So what I decided to do, instead of just scrap the whole project and throw it all in the bin, is come back over with the same colours again. So here's that pinky red, and then I'll come back through with the green. So I'm using red, white and green for Christmas, and I'm simply drizzling the soap over the top. And the idea is that I want to kind of cover up the mistake of how the design came out, but I also don't want to give up on these, and I'm actually really chuffed at how that final result works out. The drizzle is gorgeous, it looks really festive, and it does sort of help to distract a little bit from the crazy soap. Now of course the soap underneath works beautifully, it lathers gorgeously, it's the same delectable creamy StarrSoaps that we're used to. It just doesn't look how I wanted it to, and you know, these are my babies. I want to put my best foot forward, so that's why I decided to do this, and it's a lot of fun. I know it makes a heck of a mess, but sometimes making a mess is fun. So with the red, the white and the green drizzled all over the top, I decided to come back through and recreate that peppermint swirl on the top. I really wanted the tops to look brilliant, and that was one of the things that was suggested on the page. They were like, please don't put a drizzle over those tops, they're so pretty. And I'm like, oh, I know. So I try to recreate the tops here, and I give them all a swirl, then a sprinkling of glitter, and the final touch they each get is a little soap star on the very top that's made out of my soapy dough. So I've got some pictures here now. We've got the wet soap in the mould swirled with the beautiful mica swirl on the top, which just looks so beautiful. And then I show you here some extra soap that I made with my extras, because I ended up with extra soap. And here they are out of the mould. I've got some skulls and some cute little Christmas soap cakes. Now here's some pictures of the confetti soap just sitting in the curing rack, and I was scratching my head, what am I going to do with you? I'm just not happy with you. So I ended up putting it all onto the curing rack and move it over onto my workspace and wipe everything, get it all ready and clean so I can come back through and put this fantastic festive drizzle over the top, which I love, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. So I hope that you enjoyed watching me make this soap. It was a nightmare of a mission of an effort, but I'm happy that I did it, and I love the final result. This week I would like to highlight Miss Chris Menard Timpson and her beautiful mermaid soap that she made and shared in our group over on Facebook called StarrSoapy Family. Now if you'd like to come and join the group, please do. I will approve you, your friendly admin, and share your pictures with us so we can all inspire each other, and you just might get a chance of being highlighted in an upcoming StarrSoapy video. So guys, I hope you loved this video. I loved making it, and if you'd like to, if you're not already, then please hit that subscribe button, become a member of our StarrSoaps family, and once you subscribe, don't forget to ring that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a groovy new video just like this one. Alright guys, I'll see you next week. Bye! And Merry Christmas!